In today's video, we're going to be jumping on board with British Airways, but we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be pulling back the curtain on Premium Economy and seeing exactly what you get for your money. So we've all been there. You're booking that flight in economy and all of a sudden there's a few other options which pop up on the right hand side. In this example, Premium Economy is £101 on top of the economy fare on the flight from JFK through to London's Heathrow. As you go to click on economy still, you're upsold a range of different benefits of the Premium Economy cabin, and in this video we'll jump in, as I say, pulling back the curtain and finding out whether those benefits truly translate into the real world and exactly what you get. First things first, let's talk check-in. Ultimately, it's going to be your first touch point with the airline, and it's so key as part of a stress-free journey. On the economy front, when it comes to British Airways' home of London Heathrow's Terminal 5, they have a really large area of automated check-in desks. It's much the same here at London's Gatwick. These can range, I have to say, in terms of busyness, whether it's the peak holiday seasons. I've seen these pretty busy, right the way through to the more quieter times as well. You do take a little bit of a gamble on this front, but ultimately those automated areas do work well. When it comes to Premium Economy, however, or World Traveller Plus, as British Airways call it, here you get a dedicated zone. Whether this is at London's Heathrow or even one of the outstations. Some footage here from Abu Dhabi, which will highlight the 4 lanes to represent each of the 4 cabins. Here you have a dedicated lane for World Traveller Plus. You can see straight away how much relatively quieter it is than the economy lane just to the left hand side. So if you had upgraded to Premium Economy, the journey is off to a good start. What then about the experience as you get through into the terminal? Well, here, no changes at all. Sadly, lounge access isn't included as part of a Premium Economy ticket, so it's much the same as the experience in economy. Alrighty, so the plane's arrived. Let's talk boarding. It can be a little bit of a scrum, can't it, at the gate? Thankfully, in terms of Premium Economy, you do get a little enhancement here. You get to board with Groups 3, so that's ahead of all of the economy cabins, Group 4s to 9, so you should get a little bit of a smoother experience when it comes to jumping on board. Perhaps the greatest area of enhancement and indeed differential between the two experiences is felt in the cabin. That's ultimately where you're expecting your investment to fall. When it comes to economy now, British Airways tend to have the same seats right the way across all of their aircraft. These are either laid out in a 333 configuration on the Dreamliner aircraft, for example, or a 343 on the 777 and the A380s. In terms of the seat comfort back in economy, I actually find it pretty good. It's a cabin that I fly regularly with work over to the States. In terms of the seating configurations, however, modern day economy, it's pretty tight, and you can see that on screen at the moment. In terms of the legroom, I'm 180 centimeters, or in Imperial 5'11", and I actually find it decent. It's by far from being class leading back in economy with British Airways, but overall not too bad. As you get settled into the seat, there's a few creature comforts, and we'll cover that off a little bit later into the video. However, a few headline items for now. We've got plenty of charging, courtesy of USB connectors in the back of the seats, and also universal plug socket adapters down in the footwells. There's then a blanket and a pillow, and also a pair of headphones awaiting you as you get to the seat as well. As we board onto this Dreamliner, the first thing that you'll notice when it comes to Premium Economy is the lack of seat density versus economy. On a Dreamliner, as we have featured here, instead of 9 seats across, this would be 7. Therefore, the seats are wider and there's much more feeling of overall space within the cabin. If you are flying on the Dreamliner in Premium Economy, I would, however, caution the last row of seats. On some configs, this can be missing a window. In terms of some of those other benefits then, well, legroom is key. When it comes to economy with British Airways, typical seat pitch is 31 inches, in Premium Economy it's 38. In percentage terms, that's quite an increase. Seat pitch, very simply, is the measurement from one point of the seat to the seat in front. It's that feeling of legroom on board. As you get settled into the seats, there's a couple of aspects awaiting you, just like in the economy cabin. Here you have a blanket and a pillow and a few other bits. We'll check out all of these and how they contrast to economy a little bit later on. On the charging front, some upgrades here. Also, an additional USB adapter in the rear of the seat in front. You've then got all of the controls, the entertainment system down to the side, and then at the base of the seat, some more universal plug socket adapters too. Now, it's only fair to Premium Economy that as we've contrasted one of the most up-to-date economy cabins, we do so on the Premium Economy front as well. This is live aboard the Boeing 777 here, seats laid out in a 242 configuration. Not dramatically different, but you can see a slightly refreshed look to the seats, and these seats critically also have the calf rest, which for me personally massively helps get very comfortable in the seat, particularly when it comes to sleeping. One aspect you'll no doubt all wondering about, however, is what's the experience when it comes to sleeping. In Premium Economy, there's no doubt about it, the seats go back further than in Economy, but with thanks to the greater distance between the seats, when someone in front reclines, it's not quite so intrusive to you in the rearwards seat. In this scene here, I'm sat watching the TV with someone reclined as far back as they can go, and what you'll notice straight away is that the legroom is actually still pretty decent. In terms of headrest, this does vary a little bit, but in Premium Economy, as you'd expect, is all that bit larger with thanks to the slightly wider seat. One of my favourite aspects of Premium Economy is the little extras that you get, such as a welcome drink upon boarding or even a freshen up towel shortly after takeoff. But for now, we'll take to the skies and see exactly how the main experiences contrast in the air. First up, a quick note on the bathrooms. Sadly, British Airways don't have separate toilets between the Premium Economy and Economy cabins. This is an area that a number of airlines, the likes of Virgin Atlantic and Emirates, do ever so well, and these bathrooms within those airlines are clearly upgraded. So on this front, there won't be any differences between the two experiences. When you're in the air, however, there's few things that are more important than the food and drink service on board. Yes, it's clear so far as part of the video that when it comes to the pre-departure experience, and certainly the cabins, Premium Economy is quite different to Economy. But what then about food and drinks? Well, when it comes to that pre-beverage service, there's no difference at all, as you'll see a little bit later on. When the meals come around, however, the difference is fairly significant. Although British Airways have made some improvements in recent times, their economy offerings is still incredibly economy-esque. Wooden cutlery and everything served generally within foil trays. In terms of the actual food itself, however, I do think that this is on the up. Here you can see a gnocchi dish contrasted to a chicken curry. Overall, taste-wise, I think it's getting pretty good with British Airways. In terms of the wine, well, as ever in economy, this is interesting at best, not too bad, and you can see overall my reaction there probably mirrored that. One aspect you can look forward to, however, is the little desserts back in economy. I think since Doe & Co have taken over, this is an area that's been improved massively with BA. So overall in economy, presentation-wise, really not great. Taste, pretty decent, certainly by economy standards. What then about Premium Economy? Well, here you can see I've extended the table, but that pre-meal service is no different at all. Plastic cups are on order, and that's not something that ever really should be served in a premium cabin. In terms of gin and tonic, self-made, well, it always goes down a treat, as you can see just there. So what then about the food offering? This is something that's ever so important here. We're contrasting the main food service on board, just like we did so a moment ago back in the economy cabin. Now, when it comes to premium economy dining with British Airways, I have to say some of the best meals I've ever had on board aircraft have actually been in premium economy. Here, you get a little menu so you can see the various different options available to you. There's typically an additional choice as well here. You've got 3 choices available between a more of a seafood style of dish, meat dish, and then also a vegetable dish as well. As you then head to the flip side of the menu, you'll see the full range of different drinks on offer. They even have some slightly more premium options here, such as the Baileys, that wouldn't be available in the economy cabin. As the food is then served, the differences in presentation are noticeable. Here, the food is served on proper plateware, there's metal cutlery, and British Airways even break out the glassware with that main meal service. On this occasion, I opted for a curry, and as you can see in terms of the presentation, and I can promise you taste, it was a cut above the economy experience. Some of the other dishes that I've had, however, with premium economy over the years, such as this beef cheek, excuse the low lighting, I must say are absolutely phenomenal, and it is one of the reasons I personally really prefer the cabin if it's affordable. Whilst you while away the hours in the skies, of course, what could be more important than the onboard entertainment? In terms of the software, both cabins benefit from the excellent British Airways High Life entertainment system. The key differences then is with the hardware. With economy, the screens do vary here. You can see we're contrasting one of the older screens versus one of the newer ones, and you will get a small pair of headphones to accompany it. Now with premium economy here, again, back to an older style of aircraft. What I would say, however, is that the screens are always that bit larger, particularly on the more modern aircraft, and perhaps one of the biggest differences is the headset. Instead of a small pair of headphones, which frankly really isn't ideal with all of the ambient noise in the cabin, here you get a high quality pair of headphones. Once again, pulling in one of the more modern aircraft so you can see how it contrasts with the slightly updated cabins here. The hardware is even more impressive, and those differentials in screen size of economy versus premium economy is that bit more evident too. Once again though, in terms of that software, that will be no different to what's experienced right the way across the entire aircraft. What then about the Wi-Fi? This is becoming an even more important aspect as the years go forward. Here, all cabins get exactly the same service. Sadly, only free Wi-Fi is available in first class. Here, you get free of charge messaging throughout the duration of a flight. If you then want something more upgraded, maybe for video streaming, whatever it may well be, you've got that option on a paid for basis. I did mention that we'd be taking a look at those all-important creature comforts. In economy, as you'd expect, these aren't massively adorned over the entire cabin. Here, you'll get a blanket and a pillow. In terms of quality, it's broadly in line with what you'd expect back in the economy cabin. It's a little bit cheap. As you go forward then into premium economy, things get a little bit different. You even get an amenity kit. The blanket and the pillow feels an awful lot different to the one shown just a moment ago in the economy cabin. In terms of that amenity kit, it's by no means super luxurious, but it does have a number of really useful items, such as the eye mask, a pen to write with for those dreaded landing cards as they come round, means you don't then have to get up out of your seat. So it's got the basics, but it's a really nice little thing to get. If you are considering premium economy on your upcoming trip, I really hope that today's video was useful too. If you are dreaming about something even bigger and better with British Airways, I've got my latest business class review in the bottom left hand side, and even my most up-to-date first class in the top left. Really hope you enjoyed today's video. Stay tuned to the channel. I'll see you in another one real soon.